So just wondering, what kind of feedback has there been since the rule with the Big Ten, with your industry, with the refs around the nation, and the coaches and the administrators? Has there been more feedback lately, or
feedback
on the kickoff
on the kickoff rule? Well, I think the coaches realize that the kicking, the free kicks are dangerous plays. Punts are dangerous too, but primarily the kickoffs. And the data clearly shows NFL, college football, that there's more injuries on that. So we've made numerous changes, as far as low blocks, as far as wedge blocking, blindside blocks. I mean, there were major changes, all 15-yard penalties, and I think that's been really good. The injury rate is down. The wedge block busters, we don't do that anymore, right? I mean, dangerous to the people forming the wedge. It used to be a 3-man wedge. Then we said, okay, you can do a 2-man wedge. Now you can't even do a 2-man wedge, and now you, of course, can't go low. And that's where a lot of the targeting. There were human missiles going in, busting up 2 blockers, 3 blockers, and then the next wave would make the tackle. So I think what we've done is really good. The NFL is very progressive with regard to this, and they're totally changing it because one of the options was get rid of the kickoff. Just put the ball at the 20, 25. I don't care where you put it, but no kickoff. But that takes away a player, a kick return, a fast kid, a special teams player, and that from that standpoint, that wasn't I wouldn't lead with that. So we're tweaking this. I like what they're doing, trying to get the 6-8 players on each team close together. Got a receiver, got a kicker. Don't hit the kicker and going down the field, no cheap shots. And I think that that will be better. And I kind of like what I've started to see in the spring football. We've met with a lot of the NFL people with regard to that. It's a little confusing on where they kick it to and who can catch it and what zone they're in and where, if they don't run it, where are you putting the ball? But people will learn it.
What's the feedback been like amongst the NFL circles that you've heard so far? And just a limited amount that they've seen of it.
Yeah, it's heavy in rules and exceptions and what if this happens, so it's complicated.
Yeah.
And that's the number one feedback. And I meet with the NFL people all the time, and friends, and then also discuss rules with them. And but it's like anything. If it's new, people don't like it, but they can't because they don't understand it. Once they understand it, then they're experts on it. So I think it'll be good. I think we have to do something and to make change if we're trying to really do what we say, player safety. And that's our number one play. So what else can we do? Well, we change rules, 4 or 5 different rules. That's just like the fair catch. If you don't want to return it, you can get the ball at the 25. We're trying to limit. But if you do want to return it, then we're going to put some of those rules in that prohibit, dangerous type plays. Because when they go full speed down the field, that's a problem.
Yeah, I remember talking to an Ohio State linebacker who kind of laughed at the fair catch rule because it's ignoring all of the other collisions that take place on a return, like all
right.
of the blocking. So what would the process be to get this rule enacted in college?
Well, it probably, we'll talk about it next spring. It won't happen, obviously, this year. We'll see what the results are. And then we meet back in Indianapolis back in February, the Rules Committee from the NFL and Competition Committee with the college and the NFL. And then it's a matter of surveying the coaches, and do you want to put an experimental rule in? We could do it. You could put in for an experiment, like the Ivy League has some experimental rules, and you can always do that. And if approved, and it probably would be approved, because it falls under the bucket for player safety. It's not every 2 years. Player safety rule changes can happen every year.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing. And from that standpoint, so we can make changes, but it'll be experimental. It might be just conference play because non-conference people might not want it. So if Ohio State's playing, a MAC team, which they open up, they might not enforce that. But when they play conference play, we get approval for conference play. And that would mean all of our teams would agree to that type of rule. That'd be a major change in how they do it and coaching. So, but that's how rules get changed. Experimental rule, just like replay was Big Ten was an experimental rule in 04, 05, I guess. And then we tried it once. Then we finally said, okay, if you want to play Division I football, you have to have replay.
So there's an avenue where it would just be Big Ten.
It could be, yes, and it's called under the experimental rule. and you have to have everyone buy off on it, not just the home team. You know, the
Yeah.
officials say we're going to do it this way. No, there's a formal process. There's a path to get to these changes, and I think that's good because just, you know, sitting with your head in the sand and not looking and not listening and we'll look at that and being too slow. I think the management at the NCAA, management at the Big Ten, I don't want to say is aggressive. I think, but they're forward thinking, and they're not afraid to try something different and what's good for our game, you know, and not wait 2 or 3 years to make a change for. I mean, I waited like 6-7 years for communication helmet. I saw it in the NFL for 20 some years, right? And then to put tablets on the sideline, and well, we don't have still pictures like the NFL. We put video in there. I thought that was a pretty good. I mean, so we try to leapfrog, and we learn, and I think the NFL has a lot of people looking at rules, and they've got just like we do, a big concern for player safety. And when that happens, you know, the game gets better.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
for,
excellent.
taking
Okay,
the time. I
thank you.
appreciate it
Yeah,
very much.
okay, thanks.